You are currently hovering on the brink of a biological catastrophe that you probably ignore every single day. If you decided to stop sleeping right now, your body would begin a rapid, agonizing descent into chaos that ends in total systemic failure. Most people think sleep is just a time to rest. They are wrong. Sleep is a high-stakes maintenance operation. Your brain is a metabolic furnace that generates toxic waste. While you are awake, your neurons fire constantly. This activity creates metabolic debris, specifically proteins like beta-amyloid. If these proteins accumulate, they become toxic. They kill neurons. They clog your brain. When you drift into deep, slow-wave sleep, your brain's glymphatic system kicks in. It's a literal plumbing system. Your glial cells shrink by 60%. This opens up the space between neurons. Cerebrospinal fluid rushes in like a high-pressure hose. It flushes out the toxic protein sludge that built up during your waking hours. If you don't sleep, the sludge stays. Let's track what happens if you decide to pull an all-nighter. The first 24 hours are deceptive. You feel a surge of adrenaline and cortisol. Your mood might even lift, a phenomenon scientists call the sleep deprivation euphoria. But beneath the surface, your cognitive performance is already cratering. By hour 24, your brain function is equivalent to being legally drunk. Your reaction time slow to a crawl. Your hand-eye coordination is shot. Studies have shown that staying awake for 24 hours causes cognitive impairment equal to a blood alcohol concentration of 0.10%. That is higher than the legal driving limit in almost every country on Earth. As you head into hour 36, your blood pressure begins to climb. Your heart rate becomes erratic. Your body is now pumping out massive amounts of stress hormones. You are essentially in a permanent state of fight or flight. You aren't just tired, you are physically inflamed. By hour 48, your immune system starts to surrender. Your natural killer cells, the specialized soldiers that hunt down viruses and tumor cells, start to decline in activity. If you were to walk into a room full of people with the flu, your body would have no way to mount a proper defense. Your focus is now fractured. You start experiencing microsleeps. These are bursts of brain activity where you drift off for half a second to 10 seconds at a time. You might be standing, talking, or even driving, and your brain simply goes offline. You won't even realize it happened. By hour 72, the psychological walls start to crumble. In 1964, a 17-year-old student named Randy Gardner set the world record for the longest time without sleep. He stayed awake for 11 days and 25 minutes. By the third day, he wasn't just tired, he was hallucinating. He saw a street sign turning into a person. He became paranoid. He couldn't remember what he was doing from one moment to the next. This happens because the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic, executive control and inhibition, starts to lose its grip on the emotional centers of the brain, specifically the amygdala. Without sleep, the connection between these two areas weakens. You lose your ability to regulate your emotions. You become hyperreactive. The world feels threatening. Minor inconveniences feel like existential disasters. As you push past 72 hours, the hallucinations become more complex. You lose your sense of self. You struggle to process language. Your speech slurs. Your body's ability to regulate blood sugar vanishes. You become insulin resistant, mirroring the metabolic state of someone with type 2 diabetes. But why does this happen? Why is sleep so non-negotiable? It goes back to the evolutionary bargain we made. To survive, we needed to move, hunt, and reproduce. But staying awake comes at a massive cost to our cells. Consider the fruit fly. In 2000, researchers at the University of Pennsylvania discovered that even fruit flies need to sleep. When they deprived flies of sleep, they died within days. Their bodies were riddled with oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is an imbalance between free radicals and antioxidants in your body. Free radicals are unstable molecules that damage your DNA and cell membranes. Sleep is when your body produces the enzymes required to neutralize these free radicals. Without that window of downtime, your cells begin to eat themselves. The damage is not limited to your brain. Your cardiovascular system takes a brutal hit. A study published in the European Heart Journal found that people who sleep 6 hours or less per night have a 20% higher risk of developing or dying from heart disease. When you don't sleep, your sympathetic nervous system stays active. It keeps your blood vessels constricted. It keeps your blood pressure elevated. Over time, this constant strain scars your arteries and enlarges your heart. Then there is the issue of DNA repair. Every day, your DNA is bombarded by radiation, chemicals, and errors during replication. You have sophisticated repair machinery that scans your genome for breaks and mutations. This machinery is most active during the night. If you cut your sleep short, you are effectively leaving your DNA exposed to mutations. This is one reason why the World Health Organization has classified shift work, which forces people to disrupt their sleep-wake cycle, as a probable carcinogen. The consequences of chronic sleep debt are just as severe as acute deprivation. Most of us operate in a state of chronic undersleeping. We think we are functioning fine, but we aren't. We are simply normalized to a state of impairment. It's like wearing dark sunglasses and claiming you can see perfectly fine in the shade. You've lost the baseline for what well-rested actually feels like. Consider your memory. Sleep is the filing cabinet of your brain. During the day, you acquire new information, but it is stored in a fragile state in the hippocampus. When you sleep, your brain enters a process called consolidation. It moves those memories from the temporary storage of the hippocampus to the long-term storage of the cortex. If you study for an exam but don't sleep, you might as well have not studied at all. The memory didn't stick. What about your hunger? When you are sleep deprived, your body manipulates your hormones to make you seek out high-calorie foods. It decreases your levels of leptin, the hormone that tells you are full, and increases ghrelin, the hormone that signals hunger. Your brain's reward centers become hypersensitive to junk food. You aren't just tired, you are biologically engineered to overeat. If you somehow forced yourself to stay awake for weeks on end, the end result would be death. While there is no definitive way to determine the exact number of days it takes for a human to die from lack of sleep, because experiments that cruel are banned, the evidence from rare genetic diseases is chilling. There is a condition called fatal familial insomnia. It is a prion disease where the brain loses the ability to enter sleep. Patients go through months of progressive insomnia, hallucinations, and cognitive decline before slipping into a coma and dying. Their brains effectively stop being able to maintain the basic functions required for life. Think about the sheer audacity of the human body. It spends 1/3 of its existence in a state of suspended animation just to keep the other 2/3 running. We have evolved to spend 8 hours a night doing nothing, completely vulnerable to predators, effectively paralyzed, all for the sake of survival. Yet, in our modern world, we treat sleep as an optional luxury. We view it as a productivity killer. We boast about how little we sleep, as if it's a badge of honor, a sign of our relentless drive and ambition. We sacrifice our biology at the altar of efficiency. But look at the cost. We are more anxious than ever. We are suffering from an epidemic of metabolic disease. We are struggling with focus, memory, and emotional stability. We have traded our fundamental biological need for the illusion of progress. What is the price of that extra hour of work, or the endless scroll through a feed at midnight? It's not just time. It's the cellular architecture that defines who you are. It's the integrity of your memories. It's the strength of your heart. It's your sanity. Every time you choose to sleep, you aren't just resting. You are engaging in an act of biological defiance. You are clearing the sludge, repairing the DNA, consolidating the lessons of the day, and prepping your heart for the work of tomorrow. So, what happens when you stop sleeping? You lose your mind, you lose your body, and eventually, you lose your life. Is the world really moving fast enough to justify the cost of your existence? Or is it time to reconsider why we prioritize the light over the dark, and the wakefulness over the repair? The next time you feel the weight of your eyelids pulling you toward the dark, don't fight it. That pull is the most vital, life-sustaining mechanism you own. It is the only thing standing between you and the slow erosion of your humanity. Your survival is literally hidden in the silence of the night. Do not ignore it.